evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see a full house. First meeting of the year. I'd like to call the regular council meeting for Monday, January 12th to order. It's an honor to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered here on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen-speaking people, represented by the Songhees and Kasepsin nations. We're grateful to live, work, and play in this special place. May I have a mover and seconder to adopt today's council agenda, please? Thank you, Councillor Olson and Councillor Ward. Discussion? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Just a couple things, Mayor's message. Just first of all, I'd like to wish everyone a Happy New Year. It's going to be a very busy year this year. We've got a lot of business matters to attend to over the year here. And they're all really, really important to our community. The second thing I just want to let everyone know, we had the honor and privilege, as everyone knows, we've had the Minister of Health provincially come down and take a look at our medical clinic. Well, today we had the honor of having the federal health minister come in. So cabinet minister came down and visited us, and there was a lot of staff there. But I think the whole tour went really, really well. It's too bad we didn't have a shovel-ready project for her, because I know we could have got some money. So we, of course, we're encouraging her, and we're trying to find out. But they're going to be talking with us a lot. I think they want to come back again, to tell you the truth. And so that was a really good visit, and our MP Stephanie McLean was with her. That's all I have for my mayor's messages. I want to move on. Can I get a mover and seconder for the adoption of the minutes list under section 4 of the agenda? Thank you very much, Councillor Grove and Councillor Olson again, please. Yes. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Public participation. We had 2 written submissions that were received prior to the agenda publication, and 2 written submissions were received after agenda publication, and they'll be appended to the agenda following tonight's meeting. In addition, they'll be available on the city's meetings website following tonight's meeting. I'd like to thank all those who made a submission for their written submissions. Don't believe no members have registered to speak virtually tonight. And at this point in time, I'm going to allow members of the public to present their concerns or ask questions of council. Alternately, you can wait for your agenda item to come up and you can speak at that time. We give you a choice here in Colwood. And I just want to remind everyone that comments pertaining to Bylaw 1700-14 North Latoria have been subject to public hearing and are therefore prohibited at this meeting. So first person that wants to come up for public hearing. Please, please. Just have to push the button. Your name and
there. Yeah, my name's Bud Goes. I live in the Colwood Creek Estate area, and I'm concerned about the car wash on the corner of Souk. And I'm sure you've all heard about this. I just want to know how you're making out. I wrote you and the council a letter of what was going on and what I thought, and I got a reply from Byron Grant, I think it is your bylaw, and we kind of left it there. So my question is what is happening? Because it is, some days it's a little quieter, but it's still annoying as hell.
Okay, I'll get an answer for you right now, because I see Mr. Grant sitting there, but CEO, do you wish to address that?
Okay, happy to have that conversation with the resident.
Okay.
Certainly. Good evening, council. Byron Grant, manager of building and bylaw. Yeah, so absent of a bylaw requirement to mitigate the noise, the business has been quite receptive to the concerns of the public. We still have one more further improvement to go. So they're looking at a door that closes at the end of the tunnel during the drying cycle. So still waiting for that to happen. Parts have been ordered. They're keen to make that improvement, and hopefully that helps things.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now what happens if that isn't effective? Are we going to put up with that noise forever now?
I would suggest we cross that bridge when we get
Do
to it.
we move out of the neighborhood? I mean, I've invited you guys to sit on my front lawn if you want to hear it.
Sorry, could you address me?
Sorry, I've invited you and your council to come to my front yard and sit there and listen to it and see what you think. I mean, you have to be there to acknowledge what the sound is. I mean, 3 jet engines going at one time is, you know, in sequence. I lived in Richmond. We lived next to the airport. It's quieter than that. So I just don't want to let this go. It's something I'll be after for a
You
while.
know, I'd be, you know, sir, I'd be more than pleased to come and
Okay.
join you.
Good.
You're gonna have a beer ready? for
I have a beer, no
Okay.
problem. Just
I will
give me
be
the
there.
heads up. Tell me what kind
Yeah,
of beer
I
you
will
like.
be there.
Okay, terrific.
Mayor, if I may as well. So I did attend the car wash when that door was closed and actually saw a demonstration with it closed and with it open. It did make
It did.
quite a noticeable difference. So we're looking forward to that improvement. And hopefully that helps the concerns.
Yeah, the only thing I'll know is summertime, that door's never gonna close. It's just one car after another. They won't, and it will break the door in no time. So we need a better solution than just mechanical. We need something, you know, a bare berm in front to shoot the sound up.
Yep.
I mean, it's like a drum. It's an empty place. It's just, I mean, I'll wait till you show up.
Okay,
Good,
thanks.
thank you.
Next, please. Mr. English.
Still on?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is John English, and I'm here on behalf of the Royal Bay Homeowners Association. And just have 3 questions and that our members wanted to ask. And I've timed them. So the 3 questions, asking them doesn't take go over the allotted time. The answers that may take longer, but I take it that's not on my dime, is it? Okay, all right, I'll proceed. See how we go. Okay, in the materials issued for tonight's meeting, we note that city staff have once again asked city council to formally approve their philosophy-driven active transportation plan. Citizens in our community have previously been advised by city council members that the council had only authorized city staff to use that as an interim guide while a realistic, data-driven, updated transportation master plan was being developed to support the scale and pace of development that's occurring within the city of Colwood. Through the chair, our community-based homeowner association would like to ask what progress has been made on drafting a realistic, data-driven, updated transportation master plan.
Thank you very much. I'll turn to Mr. Johnson.
I think you're better to go through the 3 questions that they're likely require a
Okay.
response outside of
Absolutely.
council.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. At a previous city council meeting in the spring of 2024, we heard the head of the city engineering department advise that an initial draft updated transportation master plan could be prepared by October of 2024. It's now January 12th, 2026. Through the chair, our community-based homeowner association would like to ask when a first draft of a realistic, data-driven, updated transportation master plan might be expected.
Can I get, we'll go ahead and extend you here.
Third question, okay. Royal Bay Homeowner Association has previously communicated our serious concerns with the apparent superficial public consultation that has occurred in connection with staff's philosophically driven active transportation plan. We would like to ask our mayor and council if they can provide an assurance that the city will conduct a genuine, comprehensive public consultation before approving any plans for road systems that will affect the large majority of Colwood citizens who rely upon those roads for safe and efficient vehicle travel for them and their families.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
We'll get back to Mr. English on those 3 questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Great.
But with respect, Mr. Johnson, that then is not heard and recorded in the meeting. Can we not get an answer tonight?
Yeah, could you direct this? Yeah, it's,
Sorry.
yeah, it's not a debate here, so, but
No,
we
I'm-
will
I'm
get
not-
back
I'm
to you.
not wanting to debate.
Yeah,
I was just asking.
we'll get back to you. I can guarantee it. Thank you.
This is an opportunity for the public to answer questions of which we'll respond. That can be on a council agenda afterwards as well. To give that within this time frame and what's under the procedure bylaw about debating back and forth with staff.
Absolutely. Miss Brown, I see you. You're a pro at this, Carol. What's going on?
I know. Sorry. Wishing you all the best for 2026. And we are hoping we can maintain our, first of all, Carol Brown with Scenic Citizens Environment Network in Colwood. We are hoping we can maintain our commitment to a sustainable, healthy environment with continued commitment towards climate action as a necessary goal for our community here in Colwood. Specifically, the scenic membership hopes that council will consider making a motion to join Victoria, Langford, and Saanich councils in asking the provincial government to legislate the Marine Coast Strategy. This strategy is a strong, effective proposal by our government, but may take a backseat to other provincial issues and not carry as much weight designated as a strategy. Becoming legislation helps to set the Marine Coast Strategy as an effective method to stop possible coastal degradation and harm in favor of sustainability and enhancement. The coast is important to Colwood and is the entire BC coastline and needs our assistance in this way to ensure protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Chad Bryden. I'm a Langford resident and local businessman. I'm president of Verity Construction. Just here to speak in support of item 11.3. Fortunately, I can't stay for that portion. I have to leave, so thought I would speak now. We've been building in Colwood and the Westshore area now for since 2006, and literally with thousands of units built, we have extensive experience within the sector. We see rear yards used for patio space, pet leisure, and just overall enjoyment of the space, whether it's having a coffee or reading a book or something like that. We're increasingly seeing people using public parks as well as extracurricular activities such as sports with sports teams or at school, and less of them using the backyards for basically sport-related items where you need a large area. Allowing this 1 meter variance would allow us to design homes where we could have main floor living for the primary bedroom, which would benefit the community as a whole. I know that there are many people in the surrounding area that want to move to this new spot in the beachlands and would like to live in a place with limited to no stairs. And so this extra 1 meter of space, the variance that they're asking for, would allow us to do that in the designing of our homes. And it just would allow us to help fill this important gap in the construction market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please. Seeing no other hands up here for public participation, I will close our public participation off and move on to agenda item 6, delegations. Councillor Jantzen, you're up first. You're just going to do a quick update on Westshore Parks and Rec and Crest, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I'll keep it brief. As the representative for Westshore Parks and Rec, there's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of it relates to the recreational facilities master plan update, which is now the first iteration is completed. It's the board has been canvassing the local communities for feedback by all sorts of different methods, whether it be workshops and emails and all sorts of presentations. So a lot of that has been done now, and we're lastly waiting for feedback from all the local city councils and staff. So that's mostly done as well. And then all of that data with board inquiries is all back with the service provider for another version, which is yet to come. I believe that's anticipated rolling out in the spring, which will be getting closer to the final version. And our policy manual has been updated. No, that's super exciting. I'm also the representative for CREST, which is a Capital Regional Emergency Services Telecommunications. CREST, as you may or may not have known, has built a brand new facility, which is located out in behind the Costco area there. I think they call that area City Gate or something like that. It's quickly spotted by the 30-meter pole, monopole that has been erected there. And then it's a fancy new facility that's been built, a budget of about $18 million. Apparently it's in on time and on budget. Currently occupancy has been certified by the city of Langford, and it's good times ahead. So there's a lot of moves to happen now as far as movement of some of they're going to be coalescing some of the transmitter sites into the main facility there, which will be using the 30-meter pole. That's yet to come, and it'll be coming in the next months and years as they decommission sites. Like the primary transmitter site is in Saanich over on Mount Doug. That will get decommissioned when it gets to end of life, and that service will then move to the facility. So it's a kind of a cascade of events that have to happen before. So now that pole on site hasn't even been activated yet, and it won't be for some time until we start pulling those services into the main building. They are super pleased. Crest, the board, and the company itself is super pleased with the erection of the TELUS pole down at Royal Bay. We have transmission and reception issues in the Royal Bay area for our first responders. And what has happened is Crest has partnered with TELUS, and we've funded an extension of that initial pole to, I think it's like another 7 or 10 meters higher to allow for affixing the Crest equipment to it. And that will allow them to transmit and receive all through Royal Bay. So it's anticipated that they're going to be able to decommission a site that is further out in the Metchosin area and pull that into Royal Bay, and that site, that TELUS pole, will be able to service like all of Metchosin and out that way, and as well as into Royal Bay. So they're anticipating much improved transmission and reception in that area. So that's the Albert Head facility that's going to get brought to Royal Bay. The pole is up, the platform is in, and the shelter is being built imminently. And we look forward to the next coming months to firing up that transmitter. That's about it. Available for questions if anybody has any. That's about it. Oh, the building is complete, and it's going to be a public open house, and we're aiming for the spring, sometime May-ish or so. So stand by. Oh, and I just saw an email that Ed Bain is there tonight for his upside on Check TV, whatever it is. And so there'll be a bit of an expose about Crest and the facility this evening on the news while we're all here.
Any
Thank you, Mr.
questions?
Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council? Councillor Day, please.
Thanks. Just wondering if the transmission tower up on Bexhill will be being moved. All right, I'll wait for an update. Yeah, love to hear if it was.
Yep, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our second presentation from Sandra Hudson, Board Chair with Victoria's Women's Transition House Society. You have 10 minutes, Sandra.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Kobayashi. Thank you, members of council, for allowing me to speak to you tonight. My name is Sandra Hudson. I'm the board chair of the Victoria Women's Transition House Society. I'm also a very proud Colwood resident, just so you know. I'm here today with our executive director, Bahar Donati, as well as our previous board chair, Maureen Karagianis, who's left me very, very large shoes to fill. Intimate partner violence touches us all, and I'm here to discuss the important work that is being done by Victoria's Women's Transition House Society. Our programs and services include an emergency transition house, Harrison Place, our second stage housing program for women 45 to 65, and our new 50-unit building built by BC Housing and operated by us, located here in the Westshore. We also offer a wide range of programs and servicing, including women's counseling, peace camps for children, 50+ support groups, food security programs, and our 24-hour crisis line. My reason for being here tonight are twofold. I want to give you an update on our organization, including our newest program located in the Westshore and Langford, but servicing the entire region. And secondly, I want to let you know a little bit about what we're hoping for the future. Our new program in Langford opened last year, as you may know. It is a 4-story building with underground parking, bike rack storage, outdoor spaces, a children's play area, amenity space with a patio, a pet area, and much more. It also has a gathering space that was built in consultation with our Indigenous Advisory Committee, 50 residential second stage housing units, including 15 short stay transition units, 2 safe homes, and 35 long stay transition units. The building is 4 stories and looks very much like any other 4-story apartment or condominium in the same neighborhood in Langford. The first floor includes all the amenities for the building: a full kitchen, common area, computer room for internet access and phone, play area, meeting rooms, mailboxes, and wheelchair accessible common washrooms. It also includes the administrative areas. As well, on the main floor are 12 units for short-term transition stays and safe homes. The second floor, where women and their children can stay in intervals from 6 to 24 months, with the goal that each resident be established in a long-term programs, are optionally furnished, and staff assist with community resources to seek long-term affordable housing and to help stabilize their lives. Our second floor has 4 studio units, 2 1-bedroom, 6 2-bedrooms, 2 3-bedrooms. Our third and fourth floors each have 2 1-bedroom, 7 2-bedroom, 3 3-bedrooms, each totaling 12 on each floor. Almost since we opened, we are running at capacity in our Langford location and are fully staffed. Programs are being offered on a regular basis, such as counseling, legal support, financial literacy and wellness for the women, and specific programs for children who've witnessed abuse. I have brought some printed materials with me tonight, and one of the things that's included is Bahar's business card. One of the reasons that we wanted to come here tonight was to invite you all to come and tour the new facility. Although I can't tell you where it is, you can, as members of council, visit the facility, signing a confidentiality agreement and seeing what we are offering there. Other councils have come, and we would welcome you to do the same, so you can see firsthand the work that's being done here on behalf of residents of Westshore. And the final reason I'm here, it seems particularly like a good night knowing what innovative work Colwood Council is doing, is to let you know that we are hoping in the future to create permanent long-term housing programs for women who are leaving intimate partner violence. While women and their children can stay at our Langford building for up to 2 years, with the affordable housing crisis, even that time limit is a barrier to being able to stabilize their lives. The need for affordable housing for women fleeing intimate partner violence is an essential component of a comprehensive response to domestic violence and a critical step in supporting survivors on their path to safety and independence. Here in Greater Victoria, women, especially single mothers and women leaving violence, are hardest hit by the Capital Regional District housing crisis. Safe, affordable housing is critical to women's safety and well-being. We would welcome any discussion of partnerships with Colwood in the future. And please feel free to reach out to Bahar with questions or comments on how we might work together in the future. That's my presentation. Bahar and Maureen and I are happy to take questions, or you can just leave it at that and look at the materials that we brought.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. Councillor Ward has a question for you.
I don't actually have a question. I just wanted to thank you, Sandra. I congratulate you on the 50th anniversary of Victoria Women's Transition House.
Thank you. I should have said we're actually at 52 now.
52, okay, belated congratulations. The material said 50, so I jumped into it.
Sorry.
But, no, and I read that in the year that this was published, 87 women and 58 children were stayed at the emergency shelter, and that's the tip of the iceberg in terms of the wraparound services that are listed in here. And intimate partner violence is something that extends across all communities, and I laud you and the many volunteers for the work you do. And I appreciate the outreach to council and the notion that perhaps we can continue this conversation and see how the city might be supportive of the work. So thank you again.
Thank you. Just as a note, I didn't mention my presentation. It was largely because of the former mayor of the city of Langford and the former MLA in Langford that the 50-unit building was built in Langford. So I know that the municipality had a lot to do with the building of that facility. So you can make a difference.
Absolutely noble initiative. I love it. So great stuff. Thank you very much. And thank you for what you do for the community.
Thank you.
And lastly, Roger Conrod have a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, staff. Roger Conrod, Colwood. I'd like to speak to support Metchosin Road to 3 lanes, provided those lanes remain at a minimum of 3.5 or 3.6 meters wide. I think if you look at the preliminary report that Watton Bunt did in 2018, it said widening of Metchosin Road was considered inconsistent with Colwood's design objectives and its desire to encourage as much traffic as possible to route up Veterans Memorial Parkway to the west. I think that philosophy is still existing with engineering today. I have just a gut feeling they still want to do that. However, to support their application, they asked Urban Systems to do a traffic analysis in 2018 with the build out as it was going in Royal Bay and Beachlands. The projected, I can show you here. Which one is it, Mark? See, sorry, I get the next one. The projection here in 2038 was for 6,000 vehicles to use Metchosin Road between Latoria and Ben Homer, and 10,000 to use Metchosin Road between Ben Homer and Painter Road. Reality is, okay, thank you. The reality is, when the city of Colwood contracted with McElhaney to do traffic analysis on Hatley, which I think is coming up tonight, and you can see Hatley right now is 2,153 cars on a street that's designed for anywhere between 400 and 800 vehicles. They also did a traffic count on Metchosin Road. And in 2022, the traffic analysis showed in 2 peak hours, so 6 hours in total, in the north, 12,125 cars were using Metchosin Road, and in the south, 13,484, more than double the traffic projected for 2038. We're seeing it now, not in 2038. So okay, Carson, next one, please. I've walked Metchosin Road. I've had friends walk Metchosin Road. It's going to be a difficult project, an expensive project. It has right now presently 118 driveways, 1 school, 7 businesses, 2 daycares, 8 cul-de-sacs, 13 streets, 5 parks, 1 controlled intersection, and 1 fire hall. That's a lot to be aware of when you're designing or widening a road. Next one, please. Also, there are 58 poles from Cutlow to Souk Road on the west, 56 poles from Cutlow to Souk Road on the west, and the other was on the east. And Cutlow to Latoria, which has all the services on one set of poles on one side of the road, has 11 poles. I'll forget about the minor things about the sidewalks and everything. Marcy, next one, please. The Ministry of Transport says a road like Metchosin should be anywhere between 3.6 and 3.7 meters wide. I actually measured it in several places. Right now, the existing road is anywhere between 3.7 and 3.8. But they're saying 3.6 to 3.7. Next one, please. I came up with a design that I think everything can fit within the 20-meter right-of-way without Colwood having to buy any land from any property owner. Reduce the sidewalks from 2 to 1.7. The curbs will remain the same at 0.45. The bike lanes from 1.8 to 1.5. The cement barrier, I think engineering put 0.4 for a separation lane. I increased it to 0.45, and I'll explain that further. The driving lanes at 3.5 and the center lane at 3.1. That leaves a total of 1.7 meters left in a 20-meter right-of-way, and you still have 3 lanes. Next one, please. For instance, the bike lane, that from 1.8 to 1.5. I think anyone who can ride a bike should be able to ride a bike in 1.5 meters of width. If they can't, they probably can't do it in 1.8. The barrier or separation of 0.7 can actually be reduced to by 0.5 by using the following solid barriers. Here's the next one. The one you see quite regularly in Colwood right now. The next size, which I call small. Next one, Marcy, please. This one is a medium. And the next one. Oh, we cut it at the bottom. This is a large and is actually 0.45 meters at the bottom. And no vehicles should be able to climb over that. So in areas around schools, you could use that to protect the kids and still maintain the road right away. Next one, Marcy, please. Okay, here's an interesting thing. You look at the sidewalk and the curb. The gutter part of the curb is 0.3, actually it's 0.290, so I'll call it 0.3, is part of the road right away. But the crown of the curb, which is 0.15, is not included in the sidewalk width. So we're including the gutter in the road right away, but we're not including the crown in the width of the sidewalk. The crown of the sidewalk is still walkable, just as if they're saying the gutter is drivable. So it's tit for tat. If you're going to do it for one, you should be able to do it for the other. So you could be able to reduce that sidewalk at least by 0.2, because you're going to add 0.15 back onto it by the top of the crown and still have a 2-meter wide sidewalk, basically. Next one, Marcy, please. Here's a good example. This is Colwood's own drawing. So if you look at the lane on your right-hand side, you see it's 3.5. You see the gutter there, it goes right up to the crown of the curb. So if you take the gutter off, that lane now is not 3.5, it's 3.1. And then on the inside lane, you see 3.3. If you take the gutter off again, that lane is actually 3. Why do we need a 3.5 to a 3.6 road lane? Next picture, Marcy, please. This is a truck that Colwood, or the contract that Colwood used to put the steel beam across the Old Island Highway for the Goose Trail. That crane is a lever. It's 64,000 kilograms, 120,000 pounds. It lifts 90 tons. It's an average size crane for that truck manufacturer. They actually build trucks up to 500 tons. The width of the truck, no matter what model they make, does not change. Marcy, next picture, please. The width of that truck, and I measured it, is 3.46 meters wide. How can a 3.46 meter wide truck, which is allowed to drive on the roads of British Columbia and in this city, fit in a lane that's 3 millimeters wide or 3.1 millimeters wide? The actual truck, if you look at the specs, is 3.26 meters, but with the mirrors and the peripherals that they add on to it, it pushes it out to that dimension. Speaking to the driver, he does not need a pilot car. He only needs flags to show his maximum width. If it's a bigger crane, then they need a pilot car. The pilot car for this particular model is not needed, but for the bigger trucks, because they're longer, they need a pilot car, both front and back. So we have these trucks. In fact, right now, there was 2 trucks down in Royal Bay, crane trucks, doing work, and one of them was even bigger. He had a pup trailer on the back to take the weight of his boom. Next one, Marcy, please. This is a truck we see in Colwood all the time. It's a vacuum truck. People said, well, the crane truck's an exception. We don't see those very often. We do see vacuum trucks all the time. Colwood contacts them all the time. This is on Mackenzie. And the reason I took this picture is I was following, I was a couple of cars behind, and I could hear this thump, thump, and I thought, oh, I'm getting a flat tire. And anyway, as I looked, I realized that this vacuum truck, which you can see his dual wheels are on the center line of one lane, and he's right up to the pylons on the other side. Please. He was hitting those deflector guards, and you can see the one on the top. Every time a car came close to him, he moved over, he started to hit those. So that's how close we're getting with a lane. And that lane, I went back and measured, is 3.2 meters wide, exactly. And you can see where the trucks are rubbing on the cement barriers. Next one, please. The RCMP and Westshore report 25% increase in accidents in August. Next one, I'll be quick. The interesting facts. Whether we like it or not, we are a car-concentric nation of people. Last year, ICBC issued 56,000 new licenses. Actually, they issued 91,000, of which 56,000 were new drivers. So young people are not getting out of their cars. The majority of transportation in China after the Second World War was the bicycle. Today, China has 300 million cars. So the whole world is becoming car-centric. And here again, to support the West Shores, the the Victoria City Police asked for an increase in budget. And the reason why, they had 25% more accidents in the city of Victoria. I'll leave it up to you to figure out what the reason for that is. The Bureau of Insurance Board of Canada said that road rage is on the increase. And finally, no amount of money spent to achieve Vision Zero and through the active transportation plan is going to stop stupidity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. Any questions for Roger? Balance the word. Don't run away, Roger.
Roger, thank you. I know, I know you put a lot of effort into this and you regularly track, some of the changes to timing through traffic lights and things. And well, it wasn't mentioned here. For a brief moment, there was an item on the agenda about widening Latoria Road, which remains in the outdated transportation master plan. And I know you've done some work on analyzing the time it takes to go all the way up to be forced up Latoria for the transportation master plan architects, and then all the way around BMP only to join the crawl at the back end of Souk Road. Versus the time it takes on Metchosin. So I know we don't have time today, but I think that's valuable information. And I hope that as a member of the infrastructure committee, that when discussions are happening on a new transportation master plan, as well as key issues like Metchosin, Widening and Latoria, that you'll bring that information forward. And again, thank you. It's great to see that logic can prevail. I know when we spoke a couple of years ago at this council table about Souk Road, I'd identified that being creative with cross sections allowed for 4 lanes of traffic as well as 2 bus lanes at the time, when we were being told that no, it was cost prohibitive, you'd have to buy too much land. So I think the message is received that flexibility when it comes to traffic planning is imperative here. The Victoria model and the sort of traffic restriction model that we see, while I absolutely believe it works in urban areas where you have density like downtown Vancouver, Victoria, and so on, we cannot do the same thing here. We need to maintain drivability, and at the same time, we can also have protected bike lanes and safety and encourage mode shift. So we can do both, and I appreciate you for showing us that there is a way. Thank you.
Any other questions for Roger? Just want to add on to that, Roger. A lot of homework done on that, and I really appreciate it. Not your everyday citizen that does all that work, so it's great. Thank you very much. Engineering hiring, by the way. Okay, that's it for the delegations. We're just going to go on to the consent agenda. There's 6 items on the consent agenda. And at this point in time, any member can make a request to remove any item off the consent agenda for the purpose of individual debate or discussion. Or can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Seconder, please. Thank you. Councillor Olson, seconded. And any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to correspondence requiring council direction. And this is an interesting one. We had a request in a couple actually that we had all the right intentions, right, of doing what was right for Hatley Drive. And it seems to be working. I see Mr. Blog here tonight. It seems to be working. The feedback that I got, it's working. Unfortunately, we had some consequences. I think 3 or 4 people now have got tickets, and they're quite expensive. And unfortunately, they're the people that live not necessarily on Hatley, they live on perimeter or around those streets. So a simple solution that was just brought to my attention, and I just threw this on here as a quick fix. And that is what they said is it's that they forget about it right between 7 and 9 o'clock. I think that's what it is. And it's just that, it's this, someone says, well, why don't we just have the sign light up at that time, between those hours? And I said, you'd be happy with that? Absolutely. So I think we're going to make everyone happier this way. So it's just a suggestion that come up with right now. And I certainly want to bring it up to council and debate it if you guys think it's worth it, because it's, like I said, it's the unintended consequence of people that lived in the area. And heck, I mean, I'm kind of lucky because I turned down there once during those hours, but then I went, oh, I was lucky. I didn't get caught. But so, so the suggestion is that the sign just get lit like, some of those pedestrian lights. So I just brought it to council for suggestion. Any comments? Anyone? It just seemed to be the compromise that everyone seemed to be happy with. Yep. Councillor Jantzen, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. There are, I'm sure your engineering staff, our engineering staff are aware of this, but you can't just erect a sign. It needs to conform to various statutes, including Motor Vehicle Act and the regulations. So, I mean, is there an example of this that's being in use as we speak?
Yeah, there's one as you turn on to Metchosin, from Souk Road to Metchosin Road, the pedestrian sign there. Okay. That's gotcha. I think John Rosenberg looked at this and said, yeah, we can do this.
The other example I can think of is when when you're driving to Whistler and they have the alternate, they change the speed with an illuminated sign based on the weather conditions. So interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Day.
Thank you. I think that illuminating the sign is a good way to remind drivers that that the time is now, that that's not in fact, because I know it not in Colwood, but in other parts of the island when there's time limited occasions when you can't turn left or something. And you don't always remember what time of the day it is. So that is a good consideration. And I don't know that it will stop people who live in the area from getting a ticket though, which I understood was the issue. So hopefully a little communication and some lighted signs will do the trick.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the author of the original motion, going back well over a year or two now, to put signs there in the first place that restricted it to residents only during those peak commute times, the intention was pretty clear, which was that we had an issue with commuters in the morning and, you know, coming back in the day, cutting through the Hatley area, you know, traveling at a high rate of speed. I guess where I'm concerned is that there's no real background information as to why that was changed. We had a letter from a resident who had indicated that her understanding was that this exemption was later removed because it was considered not enforceable. I haven't seen anything on that from the RCMP, and I would kind of understand why. That's a regular occurrence in other communities. If an individual is pulled over and they can't demonstrate that they live within a certain number of blocks of that region, they have no reason to be going there, and they're in fact commuting to downtown Victoria, it would seem pretty self-explanatory to me that they shouldn't be there. So I'm a little concerned with that. And I think to me, just it speaks to the bigger picture that we are band-aiding these things to death in various neighborhoods. You know, we have an issue there. We know we have issues in other parts of the community where commuters cut through areas. Carindale is another one where people come down off EMP, coming down that hill. It's a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone and they accelerate through there. And I just wonder how many speed cushions, how many signs, and I think Mr. Conrod actually said in his presentation, you can't sort of legislate stupid. I mean, there's personal accountability from people that, you know, it's on them. These are parents racing sometimes to drop their kids off at school. And they're going through down Carindale to get to an elementary school going 60, 70 in a 30 zone. So I just wonder how much, you know, good money we want to throw after bad to try to change public behavior. And it begs the question, you know, speed limit, is that also an issue? Should some of these surrounding side streets, you know, just be a simple 30K uniformly? We did that in Royal Bay, and I think, you know, it's a dense area with a lot of families and young kids, and all the statistics show that a car's stopping power drastically changes at 30K versus 50K. There's no reason someone needs to go down Hatley at 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. Just like there's no reason for somebody in the side streets in Royal Bay to do the same. So I think maybe there's a bigger question here. I'm not sure that just lighting up a sign that's already there really changes anything. I'm not necessarily opposed or for. I just kind of wonder, you know, is it time to stop with band-aids and actually deal with the solution, which in my mind is addressing the primary issue here, which is Metchosin Road. You know, we heard from Mr. Conrod. You know, we have made a motion to prioritize that as the principal project in the transportation master plan. And getting on with that, I think sooner rather than later, is going to resolve the issue. So while we continue to dither and wait for it to get to a committee and, you know, take some people out to see it, but not others, we won't get a result. So I'd like to see us kind of reprioritize our priorities rather than deal with this Band-Aid stuff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good points. Engineering, do you have just a clarification on that? Because I think it was from, you guys were told by the RCMP, unenforceable, what we had for signage before. No, I don't think anyone's challenged it yet, but people have gotten tickets, 4, 5 now that I know of.
Yeah. Thank you. Through the
Could you
chair.
just elaborate on that, please, Ron?
You bet. Through the chair, thank you for the question. My understanding in our interaction with the RCMP was that the no turn sign is a legislative sign, which we can enforce. The local residents only is the part that we have to add that to our bylaw and define local residents. So that's another option. We could come forward with a definition of local resident. So those municipalities that have
local residents only, they'll have likely a radius or a described neighborhood or something like that. One of the reasons, just in dealing with this specific one, that wasn't maybe discussed at the length that it should have or could have been, is it's a bit more cumbersome for the RCMP. So I don't think it's their first preference, but it's something we can certainly explore with them to say, we'll define it as a 200-meter radius, a 500-meter radius, whatever that might be. And then those people that are going to their homes that live in the area could do so even still in that time frame. I hope that answers the question around the.
Yeah, no, it's great, because that's what I assumed to do first, because that seemed to be the simplest solution, right? Use common sense. And, but then I was told, oh, no, the RCMP was adamant that, you know, we couldn't use that for local traffic. It was unenforceable. That's what I was told. And I don't know, I didn't make that up, I can tell you that. So someone told me that, so I went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So hence, that's because you guys, the signs were changed, and I certainly didn't know about it being changed. Like I said, one day I just saw it and drove there, and I went, oh, I think I just broke the law. There's a former cop here too. And, but like I said, it's, you know, the easiest way to me would have been just leave the sign as is and enforce that, you know, what it says. But like I said, when they said it was unenforceable, I went, oh, that's what I was told. So I'm getting two different stories here. So I don't quite understand this. You know, what is the real?
Yeah, you're correct. It's through the chair. It's unenforceable without the addition to our highways bylaw.
Okay,
So our bylaw will need to be amended to define that, and then the RCMP can use that to then say, okay, you fall within this radius, so it is enforceable. Without that, they are unable to enforce it. Now, staff's take on that when that happened,
just change the bylaw then.
we can update our bylaw.
Then it's enforceable.
Correct.
Right now. Okay, thanks. Thank you for clarifying that. Councillor Ward.
Thank you. In the interest of expediency and to get some solid solutions, I'd like to motion that or move that we refer this to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee for review. I believe they meet again on the 20th. So potentially it could be added to, you know, as soon as that agenda.
Seconder, please. Thank you. Councillor Olson seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Did you get that? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next one is a notice of motion. And this is to amend the delegation of authority for form and character development permits. Do you want me to read the whole thing? Can everyone read what it says? I think I just want to clarify what this is. It has to go, it's just a notice of motion, it has to go for debate. In fact, I hope it goes to planning and land use, to tell you the truth. But here's the story, what's going on. It's for those communities that have our master plan communities, like beachlands and like Royal Bay or path developments. They're not included in this. We want to make sure that the development officer has that full capability to make the changes. This is simply for, we got tricked, a bait and switch. So here's a recent example. The car wash. What was supposed to go there was a car wash, and there was a bunch of commercial buildings that were supposed to be done there. And surprise, surprise, when it was all completed, everyone went, well, what happened to what they showed us was supposed to go there? Heck, I don't know. We didn't know as a council. Not one person around this council table knew about it, because it was changed by the what do we call them? Development officer. It was the director of development, who is the delegated authority. So we didn't know. And so this is to stop this kind of thing happening. There's some other examples of this, are there not, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I think there's a number of examples, and we've made comments of this in the past in terms of bringing forward a change to the way that we do business. And really what's happened with the restriction on public hearings, whereby it meets an OCP, there's not a lot of public hearings, and council's development agenda has substantially decreased. And so council's opportunity to be able to look at these sort of items to give surety for the public surety to council about what's being proposed through rezoning and ultimately development permit gets built. So your motion here reflects what we've talked about, just in terms of changing what that process would look like, to have some surety and a timeline in which those development permits would be built so that the public's aware. Right now, if a rezoning goes through and there's no development permit, well, that entitlement lasts in perpetuity. And in 10 or 15 years, if the market changes and the zoning's already there, and they've already gone through the development process, council is not likely to see it again. So what I see your notice of motion of doing is re-looking at the way that we do development so that you can give surety back to the public and council for what's going to be built.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I said, it's not, this is not applicable to those developments that already have a master plan to them right now. And I'm talking specifically Beachlands and Royal Bay at this point in time. Apparently, Olympic View is going to do the same sort of thing right now too. So it's a no-brainer to me, but we have to have some surety of some sort. And it's just a notice of motion at this time anyway, so. Council Warren? Just a notice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to move that we refer that to the Planning and Land Use Committee.
Perfect. It's a great place for it. Thank you. Councilor Day? Oh, no, everything's gone. Okay, I'll just call the question on this one right now. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone. Makes it nice and easy. Okay, now we shall move on to new business. Westshore RCMP detachment expansion and oh, sorry. Oh, thanks. Sidewalk design policy, unfinished business. Mr. Johnson, would you introduce it, please?
I can do this one for you, Mr. Mayor. So the report attached brings forward a previously deferred recommendation from the Active Transportation Committee for Council's consideration. The recommendation proposes that sidewalks on arterial and collector roads be located at the property line wherever feasible, with any expectations returned to Council for direction. So this item was originally deferred in July of 2023, along with the draft Active Transportation Network Plan, and it was not subsequently brought back for decision. So as the city is now updating its transportation master plan, which incorporates the Active Transportation Network Plan, it no longer requires a separate adoption. However, the sidewalk design policy still requires formal council direction to ensure procedural clarity and alignment with council procedure bylaw. So staff have, sorry about that. Staff have informally been applying the draft ATNP sidewalk approach in interim, confirming that the policy now will formalize council's intent and support transparency and align with the strategic plan. And if you have any further questions, you can ask Joshua Bayless is there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Joshua? Open the floor. Councilor Day.
Sorry, not a question, just I was going to move the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, thank you. Councilor Ward. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we'll get on with new business. The Westshore RCMP detachment expansion. I will turn it over to you, Mr. Johnson, to introduce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the Westshore RCMP Facility Expansion Council Validation Report. The recommended motion for Council's consideration is that Council receive the Westshore RCMP Facility Expansion Council Validation Report for information. Council will note within the report itself and through the last discussion that we had with Council in December is that we'd be coming forward with a report from Mr. Jonathan Huggett about moving forward. You will note within the body of the report that Mr. Huggett has identified that an additional validation report is coming forward, which will have additional items just in terms of scope, risk registry, things of that nature. This report is put on for council for information because we said that that report would be coming forward. That report will come forward once we receive that additional information to the validation report, Mr. Mayor and members of council.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for bringing this up. And before I just open it, I just want to make a couple statements here. First of all, this has been in the media a little bit. From what I understand, I don't sit there and listen to the radio stations during the day. But let me just say one thing here. We as a council are totally uncomfortable at this point in time to approve anything based on the validation that the summaries validation report that we have right now. And we are waiting for the full validation report and using our consultant, Mr. Huggett, to do the evaluation. So basically what I'm saying, we're just missing basic things like the governance, the budget. How much is this going to cost me? How can we make a decision to go forward with something when we don't know the costs? And there's a number of other issues. But there's also another fallacy out there that we have to make this decision by the 14th of January. Well, I confirmed with the CFO of the CRD, and they're not even making the decision on the joint borrow of this until he said the earliest is February. Everyone was afraid that it was Wednesday this week, but it's not. I want to stop that rumor right now. I've got the agenda. It's not on the agenda. And even if it makes the February one, that would be the earliest. But what he told me was the earliest was probably March. So I just want to make sure everyone could stop the silliness that's going on right now. But we jointly have believed that we're not ready to make a decision on until we see the full validation report. Absolutely be irresponsible of us to make a decision before that point. Anyways, on that note, I'll just turn it over to Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly want to echo the mayor's concerns. I think he's very much supported, certainly by me in that. First of all, I wanted to stress that we are waiting on a complete validation report, and I think that's critical. We haven't received the report. There's misinformation out there. Certainly what's been presented to the two other stakeholders, Langford and View Royal, has been presented as being the report. It in fact is not. The other piece that I find really interesting is it was suggested to me to take a look at other examples that might be out there, to do some comparisons of validation reports. And, there were others that had some similarities and there's some consistency in how it's approached, but I found it particularly interesting that another Collier's run project, the Vernon Active Living Center project, has a validation report that is like the Westshore RCMP building validation report that we received substantially replicates that. So much so that while it might be a stretch to call it plagiarism, the templating or reskinning of it materially limits the uniqueness and analytical depth of the report that we've received. There are things that are basically identical in there. The risk assessment, for example, how do you have the exact same risk assessment on a swimming pool as you do on an RCMP detachment? So this is pretty concerning stuff to me, particularly when you're talking about governance, scrutiny, and value for dollar. We're being asked to make a very big decision for a lot of money, and we're essentially having somebody take a template and just bang in a few new words. What else is concerning about that? I think for a taxpayer, I would say that, we, and then that's the stakeholders on this project, are overpaying on this work. We've exceeded the authorized expenditure granted by this council and the other stakeholders by an estimated $800,000 so far to do this work. And yet we've got a report that's less bespoke than the scale and sensitivity of a project of this magnitude. And this heavy reliance on a template is, it reduces transparency around costs, as the mayor alluded to. We don't have a budget there. And it also creates the impression of inevitability. And the mayor referenced that with the media, that validation becomes confirmation rather than scrutiny. So these are major issues here. It's important for the public to understand that what we've received is a council-facing summary or an endorsement package, so not the complete report. The Vernon report, ironically, actually has the extra add-ons. So what it includes is a detailed risk and opportunity register with the impacts, cost confidence analysis, escalation assumptions, life cycle and operating cost projections, trade by trade cost breakdowns, design development assumptions and exclusions. So very, very different than what we're being asked to make a critical decision on. And frankly, I'm surprised that given Colwood's known concern and diminished confidence in the project leadership, that we'd be asked to make a critical decision on assurances rather than evidence. And make no mistake, we are being asked to. The fact that it's on the agenda for Langford this evening tells you there's political pressure at play to push this thing forward. And I would say that my worst fears are being realized now that we've got a substantial sunk cost invalidation, which creates this pressure to proceed with a very weak final business case. And that's a recipe for disaster. So bear with me. I know I'm a little verbose, but this is a $103 million project. So I need to talk about it. I have one second and final point. So I spoke about leadership and transparency on the project. And in my view, that's been questionable for some time. You know, this has been, the one consistent has been that we only get part of the picture. So this slow drip selective feed of info is reflective of project leadership or lack thereof. If we go back to the beginning, Colwood actually instigated this project at the behest of the RCMP. We established the RFP. We were driving it forward with our then CAO. Somewhere along the way, he handed over leadership to Langford. And since then, communication has been, I'll just say, spotty at best. We've received sporadic reporting. Critical conversations around design changes and proposed changes have been omitted. I was only recently made aware about a report that someone in Langford government ostensibly sought to manipulate the design to try and relocate the building to the back of the property, which included a completely unnecessary covered bridge, all at additional cost to all of the stakeholders, that thankfully then RCMP Superintendent Todd Preston pushed back on, and that change didn't occur. So the other issues that we see here is well, fairly significant. Councillor Jantzen referenced it in one of the last meetings we discussed this, which is the loss of a floor. How do you lose a floor on a building? So part of this business case, the public should know, was predicated on this 5-story building. The top floor was going to generate revenue as part of the business case. Well, that top floor is now gone. It magically just vanished into thin air. No discussion, no formal reporting on it. The information that's been provided to Langford Council making that decision this evening is that, well, this was for lab space that was deemed no longer necessary. And I don't buy that. I had a source in suggest to me that that floor basically disappeared because of the concrete design on the structure. They underestimated the cost. So they've kept the price point or the cost to the stakeholders exactly the same and lopped the floor off to bring it back down to where it should be. Now, what happens to the lost revenue on that top floor? Nobody's answered that question because we don't have a business case. So how can we make a decision? I think you kind of see where I'm going here. So there are other concerns I have around funding proposals and things like that. But at the end of the day, the reality is that, you know, I no longer have confidence in Langford and the View Royal CAO leading this. We have a group of CAOs supposed to lead this project and no project manager. They would point to Colliers as being the project manager. That's the blind leading the blind. These are the people who pocket the money at the end of the day. Any other major project like this would have a project manager ostensibly employed by the stakeholders. So, you know, this obviously leads us back to that question of leadership. And you know, I'm not alone in that. I think it's easy to say, okay, there could be political elements at play or something like that. Ironically, the biggest proponent of this project was the officer in charge of the RCMP at the time this came forward back in 2019, former Superintendent Todd Preston. You know, he's been a driving force in trying to push this forward to councils in the region for many years. But I understand that his concerns about the leadership emanating from Langford were so significant that he privately expressed those concerns to Langford Mayor Goodmanson in 2023. In the first 6 to 9 months of the then mayor's term, he went to him and said, okay, this isn't working. Suffice to say, those concerns appear to have gone unheeded, leaving us today without, in my opinion, effective leadership on one of, if not the largest capital projects in Westshore history. So as I stated at the outset, the substantial sunk cost invalidation is creating pressure to proceed, even if the final business case is weak. But are we doing a disservice committing taxpayers to this expenditure when those at the helm may not be the right ones to drive the proverbial bus? I will be interested to see if Langford and subsequently View Royal share these concerns, or if they are content to forge ahead knowing full well the glaring concerns that have been exposed with this project. Simply put, we work for Colwood taxpayers and we owe them the due diligence to wait on the complete validation report, to have Mr. Huggett take a look at it and bring it to this council before we make a decision that isn't anywhere near as time sensitive as it's being portrayed to be. The mayor has clarified that, and I think that puts that to bed for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ward. Councillor Jordison.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to provide my perspective when reading the validation report of sorts that was provided to us. Building at 15, I think it works out to 1,550 square foot is significant. And I guess my question is, how do we know we're getting value for money and that we have the right people on this project? The project IPD or not, whether we have a project IPD or not, there always should be a project manager, as Councillor Ward alluded to. So we don't really know who's in charge at this point. Cost escalation risks remain high despite validation. The schedule contingency appears thin relative to complexity. And the IPD model of significance is that it relies on collaboration and behavioral commitments, which are valuable but not enforceable at the same time. So the way that fixed contracts are, so that's huge in itself. Long-term operational and life cycle costs are underemphasized. And as an owner, council should have a clear total cost of ownership, not just the capital delivery successes. It's unclear who's paying the bills. Scope creep is a concern, a missing floor, already not enough storage space. Schedule risk, construction will occur adjacent to an integrated with an active RCMP facility. No financial reporting check-ins, no scope control safeguards, and currently on Langford's agenda for tonight, and you can check, it shows the completion date of this project is different than on the report that Bureau has on their agenda. They have a different completion date. So that's concerning. I guess I just question that the project potentially cost taxpayers up to $40 million in the end, and then even more. It could be even more, and the building will be at end of life at that point, and we'll never even own the building. We'll still be paying for it. So at the end of all this, I just want to say that without all the information, it would be irresponsible of me or this council to make a decision to move forward with this project at this point until we get the information that we need, and it's be a disservice to taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jordison. Councillor D.
Thank you. In an effort not to beat this poor animal to death here, I just want to assure residents of Colwood that, as I've always done, I'm not going to take a decision without having the facts. And once we have received and reviewed a fulsome report with all of the facts, we'll make our decision in the best interest of both our service providers and our residents, because we need them both. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jantzen.
Thank you. And not to belabor things, I'm still chasing this proverbial greased pig and I haven't quite grabbed it yet, but I won't be backed into a corner through politics or other people's agendas. I have a lot of questions. I have some familiarity with this industry for the past 30 years, but some of the questions I have, we lost a floor. What does that mean? What does that mean for the working men and women of the detachment? What does it mean for longevity of that building? When it was presented to us that there's really a 20-year lifespan on that new space as far as increases in manpower for the future, and our financing goes out to 25 years. The loss of that floor, does that impact that longevity? So, you know, is it less than 20 years now and we're still going to be financing this $40–50 million?
out, for another 25 years, and let alone the financial questions that this community's been asking of our neighbors and not receiving satisfactory answers. So I too await the fulsome report and some financial information to the satisfaction of our chief administrator, staff, and our mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, this was just for information, but I hope the public's starting to get a picture. And, we'll see when we get the final report. But I tell you, I'm not very optimistic at this point in time. I temper my comments right now, and I let Mr. Ward speak for sure. So, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm very nervous. I'm very, very nervous. And do we have the other options? Yes, of course. The plan A, B, C, D, E, actually. So, are we going to be forced to do something that we don't want to do? No, I don't think so. We've got some little gems up our sleeves, that's for sure. Okay, at this point in time, I'm just gonna take a health break for 5 minutes, and then we'll just resume after the health break. That's okay with everybody? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're all back here, so we'll get everything going again. We'll take us out of recess and we'll move to item 11.2, which is the 2025 Animal Control Activity Report and Contract Renewal. Mr. Johnson, could you introduce our speaker?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the Animal Control Activity Report and Contract Renewal. As you stated, Byron Grant, our Manager of Building and Bylaw Services, has an overview should you wish to receive it. The recommendation is that Council receive the activity report and direct staff to renew the agreement for animal control services with the CRD.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Grant?
Yeah, good evening, council. All I have to say is I've been working with the CRD, I found out, since 2004. Very limited options as far as animal control goes in Victoria. And our relationship has been good so far. So since we published the staff report, we did find out that our options are to renew the contract for a period of 5 years or a period of 3 years plus 1 2-year extension. So food for thought, or we could go and look at what the other options are. Last time I looked, they are limited, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I just have a couple quick questions. Oh, I see a bunch of people that want to speak here. Councillor Jantzen, you go ahead first and I'll ask my questions last.
I've reviewed it. I'm satisfied. I was just gonna move the recommendation, your worship.
I'll come around to you. I have a couple questions here first. Councillor Day?
Thank you. So I've been around since that 2004 with the CRD, so I'm very familiar with how it works, and I'm pleased that you have recognized the option to have the potential for the 2-year extension. And I am looking to see some improvements to our animal control, given that there was some pretty serious events that have happened in Colwood with animals at large and causing injuries, and that the reports have been from residents who had to use those services that it hasn't been a particularly friendly process necessarily. Not that it was terrible, but that it really could be improved to deal with the trauma that can be experienced by people who've been attacked by an animal or their animals have been attacked by an animal. We've had many injuries and even deaths of animals in our parks and in our community, and we've had people injured. And it wasn't particularly a kind process in terms of people checking in on how the impacted individuals were doing. And it's not about that we need to lay blame, but we need to make sure that we keep our community safe and we take care of our people when they're hurt. So I'm looking to see some reinvigoration of our bylaw services for animal control to ensure that we're putting people and pets first, and making sure that we do the amendments that may be necessary from time to time to make sure that works in the best interests of the people who are out there using our trails and parks and enjoying walking in the community. Thanks.
Thank you
Mayor,
very much.
if I may.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions for you.
Well, may I respond?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So glad you brought that up. One part that is appealing to me about this new agreement is the quarterly reporting. So we do want to stick to that. I think, just an enhanced relationship in general with our animal control services, not just forgetting that they do dogs. I think, that is our bylaw, and that's our responsibility. So definitely want to enhance that connection, enhance the reporting so that we can have a two-way discussion about those things. So that's all I have for that. Thank you.
So just this reporting right now, Is the report or the contract that's attached to your report right now, is that the old contract or the new contract?
We did attach both the old
Okay.
contracts, and the new contract.
So I did read the old contract, and it did say that we're supposed to get reports twice a year. I must have fell asleep at the wheel because I don't remember being reported on twice a year. Is that did they just neglect to?
That would be my responsibility to make sure that we read those details of the contract. And then, recently we've tried to enhance our bylaw activity reporting in general. The incident earlier this year with the attack that made the news and everything, obviously that drew a lot of our attention to this to enhance that and have that communication more.
So my second question, it's sort of related. It's is animal control like a specialty with the bylaw officers? Are they trained differently than our normal bylaw officers, animal control officers?
The ones that do animal control do that specifically, but it is part of a contracted bylaw service with CRD. So, I mean, in some cases, they provide the entire bylaw service. The ones that we see driving around the truck are for animal control services specifically. So they have enough work for that, but the training would be the same as far as the bylaw officers go.
Okay, interesting.
There's not specific training with animals to become a bylaw officer that I'm aware of, but could get more detail on that.
So just an extension onto that question, there's a reason I'm asking this, are we getting to the size pretty soon where we need more bylaw officers? Like we have two. So what if we lock ourselves into this animal control guy right now and we could because I see the number of hours they spend on it. So if we only need another partial part of a bylaw officers along with this, are we accomplishing that? Are we going to lock ourselves in? I guess that's what my worry is.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, definitely an option is to look at doing animal control in-house. We wouldn't be able to get into much more detail than that tonight. We'd have to bring a report back to see what that looks like. The previous contract and the one we have in front of us works out to about half of a full-time bylaw officer. So, it's safe to assume that as we see, more population, more density, there'll probably be more of a demand for bylaw and animal control in general. But we would definitely like to think that we're being proactive enough that we bring that in front of council when we do that.
I don't need to provide direction. It's just a curious thing that I'm thinking about right now. Okay, thank you. That's all I have for questions. Councillor Day.
I know that Councillor Jantzen wanted to move the recommendation, but given the new information, which does ring a bell in my memory of the 3 years plus a 2 year, I mean, it's going to take time for us to figure out what changes we might want to make, whether it's to our bylaw or how it's enforced. I'm not sure. But I know in years past, in looking at our bylaw services, we do get a number of things that happen within our parks. It can be serious things that happen where it may go unreported. And I was surprised to learn a few years back of various areas in Colwood where very serious dog bites had been happening. And we just didn't know about it. So we've worried about whether or not we're getting full value for our money in terms of patrols. And I don't feel that concern anymore, but I do want to suggest that we do renew the agreement for the 3 years with an option to extend for a further 2. That gets us a good amount of time to work on improving what we have and make a decision about how we should go forward, knowing that there are limited options out there and value for money is a consideration too. But we certainly did get a sense that it's not always the best process as it stands right now for someone going through that reporting an issue and having to do all of the follow-ups themselves. That should be something that happens within our bylaw and within our programming naturally without anybody having to chase the administration to make it happen.
Mayor, if I may respond. Yeah, and the part that appealed to us when reviewing this new contract was before there was just a general amount of hours that they provided for service, whereas in this new agreement, they have a guaranteed 150 hours of patrol service. So if they were spending time, when we looked at the bylaw activity report, for example, there's been a lot of attention towards the lagoon lately and the environmental sensitivities there. We saw what looked to be a lull in patrol hours during, be considered peak bird nesting season. So we thought, oh, why did that happen? Well, that means that their time was spent more with investigations and calls for service than patrol. So we do like how there's a set amount of patrol hours, which we would have influence on with this new contract, and also includes a certain amount of hours of outreach as well in community events. So hopefully getting at the education as well.
Okay, super. So Councillor Jantzen, you want to make the motion then? Seconded by Councillor Day. Okay, gotcha. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, she passed unanimous. Thank you very much. Go on to item 11.3.
Sorry, Mayor, for clarity, is that the 3 years plus the 2 years?
That's correct. That's what I understood.
Thank
3 and 2. Thanks. Okay, 11.3. Mr. Johnson, could you introduce our speaker, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, this is item 11.3. It's a zoning amendment application RZ 000031 text amendment to CD 30 zone. Richard Roy, our senior planner, is here to provide council with a presentation of overview should you wish to receive it. This did go to the last planning and land use meeting. This did come forward in a rather quick nature, so that way the applicants may also may wish to be saying something before we enter into this with public comment. Your worship.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I didn't get that. Was I too?
Yes. Are there any persons that want to speak to this item from the public? Oh, online, yes, of course. I think they do. John or Georgia, do you want to speak to this item? Do you not? I believe. I'll hand it over to you, John, first, and then Georgia.
Georgia will start.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We had actually prepared just a very brief slideshow as well. Am I able to share my screen? Let me just see here. I think I can. Sorry, bear with me. Are you able to see a Beachlands logo up on the screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for having John and I this evening to introduce ourselves. Georgia Desjardins with Seacliff Properties. We're the co-owners and developers of the Beachlands project, along with my colleague John Stavel of Reliance. So just very quickly here, before you this evening, we have a proposed CD30 text amendment, which would add hotel as an allowable use within the areas of lands identified as areas 1 and 8 in the CD30 zone map, which covers the entirety of the Beachlands area, as well as to amend the rear yard setback specifically for the single family home areas from a minimum of 6 meters to 5 meters within the areas of land, again, specifically identified to permit single family home uses. So just for visual reference and site context, specifically relating to the proposal to amend to allow for hotel uses. We are seeking that for Area 8, which is centered down around the waterfront in the central area where the future, sort of adjacent to where this future waterfront plaza will be located, whereas Area 1 is located at the far south end of the site, flanking Metchosin Road. As far as just a brief overview of our rationale and thought that's gone into this, as specifically related to the hotel amendment, there's been a lot of work that has occurred to date over the last number of years on the Beachlands site, and specifically as it relates to sort of our ongoing and future vision for it, we see the allowance of hotel within these areas to be aligned within the OCP, which envisions the Beachlands as a vibrant mixed-use neighborhood. And really, we see a key component of this placemaking to be attracting a vibrant and diverse mix of commercial and retail tenants. And we see hotels as a key component to that future commercial mix. Hotel is also already permitted use in all other seaside village designated development areas and adds an additional commercial use to an already extensive list of permitted commercial uses within areas 1 and 8. And it also supports the City of Colwood's objectives to attract further commercial activity and promotes increased tourism to this spectacular waterfront destination. Further to that line of thinking, as tourism numbers across the region continue to thrive, the corresponding shortage of hotel accommodation has really become more apparent, to the point that Destination Greater Victoria has actually now established a task force that is looking to lower barriers to new hotel development. We see hotels as a strong potential use as part of a broader strategy to attract a vibrant and diverse mix of commercial and retail tenants, as I had already touched on. And we also see the opportunity to potentially attract and support 2 different hotel types that attract different target markets and demographics. Further to that, we see the ability to attract one to Area 1 and one potentially to Area 8, also on really working on a different time horizon. Area 1 is now fully serviced and could potentially be put into development far sooner than Area 8, which still has a fair amount of work to be done before we're accessing into that area of the site. And really amending the zoning is a critical early step in determining project viability, which is why we're before you tonight for consideration. Just really briefly jumping over to the site context on the setbacks. Again, this specifically is related to the single family home areas of the site, which is Area 3 at the far south end and Area 7 at the far north end of the site. So we are seeking a rear yard setback amendment from a minimum of 6 meters to 5 meters. And with lot servicing and construction nearing completion and home design work progressing, we see it as a key element to facilitate improved site planning and building functionality for the single family home lots. Through the neighborhood design process, priority was really given to enhance and preserve green spaces and access to nature. And I apologize, I'm not looking away. I just have multiple screens running right now, but and we see this amendment to balance and to allow for more functional and efficient home design. Further to that, this amendment would also maintain consistency within the entirety of the neighborhood and avoid what we would anticipate otherwise to be repetitive variance requests coming through to seek that flexibility on the rear yard setback. And that's through discussions that we've had with some of our preferred builders who are very experienced in and now underway on some of their home design processes. Further to that, by seeking a rear yard setback amendment as opposed to a front yard, it also delivers an appealing and welcoming public realm and will also to help relieve pressure for on-street parking. And we say that in that our understanding and speaking to some of our building partners is that 1 meter of flexibility is going to give them a lot of added ability to really create really livable floor plates and desirable floor plates. So for example, by adding that 1 meter allowance, it gives a more generous sized garage that's going to actually encourage and allow people to utilize those garages as opposed to perhaps parking one in the garage and one on the street. And so really encouraging those more generously sized private property accommodations we see as a really key benefit to preserve that street parking for potentially visitors or others that are coming through the area. I think that was it for us, and we really appreciate your consideration. And of course, John and I are both here to answer any questions.
Thanks very much, Georgia. Questions from council? Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think as the chair of the Land Use and Planning Committee that reviewed this, I thought I'd provide some context from that meeting. Interestingly, the proposal on the setbacks failed by a 1-vote margin, but I think there's certainly dissenting views. I will be very upfront that I certainly supported the setbacks. I think the issue behind granting a setback variance in a legacy neighborhood or existing neighborhood is that, you know, you've got your home, your neighbor has your home, and if they sell and somebody comes in with boatloads of money and decides, well, we're going to tear that down and build something that fills the entire lot. Now you've got that monster home. And we see that happen. That's a concern in Oak Bay and elsewhere. And I think the key difference here is that, well, it does set a precedent. You know, this is a master plan community and a brownfield development where you're not having that issue. This is, you know, buyers are going into it with open eyes, understanding what they want first and foremost. And the other piece is that, you know, you're looking for some uniformity here, and I think they touched on it in the presentation there from Beachlands, is that for whatever reason, and I can't speak to it, some committee members felt that it would be preferred to have variance requests come forward on an individual basis, home by home. And that would then leave kind of, I guess, of a disparity in terms of how it might look, depending on the outcome there. And, you know, from a residential planning view, from a optics, all of the rest of it, I can't understand why you would want that variance. And I think there were some personal opinions that came into play in terms of size of yards and things like that. But again, the buyers are going into this with open eyes and understanding fully what they're getting. And if they don't like the size of the yard, they don't buy the home. Greater interest to me too was the ongoing challenge we've had with on-street parking in Colwood. That's not a new story. In this case, this additional size allows for a garage that recognizes the reality I spoke to earlier, that Colwood people drive places. We have people with full-size trucks. There will be people that, you know, live in this development that, you know, that have vehicles that ideally they can park off street. If we've got a restrictive garage, well, we don't want a West Hills scenario where, you know, the street becomes difficult to navigate because they can't fit their vehicle in the garage. So for the sake of 3 feet of house space, I really don't see the issue. Again, it sets a precedent, but I think context matters. And I think that's what's missing is context. Is this is a brownfield development. Everybody's new. Nobody's getting a monster house built next to them that they weren't expecting. So that is on the setback piece. Just really quickly on the hotel motel component. Again, some misconceptions. Maybe ultimately the committee voted to send it forward to a public hearing, which I support. My view is this: is that there is no development proposal attached to this at this point in time. Timing, obviously from the Beachlands perspective, yes, you know, get it done sooner rather than later. But I think there isn't a rush. From a good governance standpoint, I believe that we should take this to a public hearing. I think that matters. I think the public should be able to have their say. But I do want to go on the record to say I unequivocally support the idea of hotel construction. Particularly, you know, zone 8, when you look at, you know, some of the objections around it were, well, it'll bring traffic. And my point is, yeah, that's great. This is a regional destination. This is supposed to be a waterfront destination where we can draw people down. A hotel stimulates that. You can have restaurants, ancillary shops, things like that. So a hotel down in Section 8 is actually everything that the folks, I think, in Colwood want, instead of a kind of secluded, gated community where the public doesn't have any incentive to access. You know, and ultimately, like I said, the only real deviation there from the staff recommendation was simply that, you know, let's do this the democratic way and the fair way and take it to a public hearing and get input from our citizens. So that's where we left it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Day.
Thank you. So I don't really have questions so much as I'd just like to offer my input in terms of the setback issue. I'm on the record many times over of being very much in favor of full-size yards. We're going to need that more than you think. Those very important little gardens in your backyard to grow some veggies are going to be more and more important as time goes on. And there is really no guarantee that a smaller backyard will be accompanied by better parking ability. That those two things are not connected here. Likewise, I'm not opposed to having hotel at all. I was proponent of our very first hotel in Colwood. But again, without a proposal in front of us, those issues can be very different depending on how it's presented. If it's a hotel without sufficient parking, if it's a motel with a whole bunch of driveways onto a collector road, that's very different again. So I'm not in favor of making that text amendment without a proposal in front of me. I'm certainly open to approving having a hotel there. I need to have all of my plans in front of me so that I can be sure that what we're getting works within the area it's in. In terms of the public hearing, I'm very in favor of having public hearings. The more opportunities we have for our community to be heard, the better. And I'll leave it at that. That's where I'm standing.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jordison.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I forgot my iPad this evening, so I'm ruffling through papers here, but I just wanted to thank Georgia for the explanation about the, you know, the setback, because I couldn't quite visualize that. So, so it's good that it was demonstrated. It makes sense. I think I guess I just have some comments. I don't see a FAR for the zones 3 and 4. I don't know how that implicates things, but I just wanted to mention that. So I guess while the Local Government Act allows council to waive a public hearing if the bylaw is OCP consistent, I have concerns that this adds commercial hotel use, which I'm not opposed to, but you know, it affects the waterfront and neighborhood character. And of course, the setbacks always cause some anxiety with people. So I think that we should still proceed with a public hearing. That would be just to be transparent. But yeah, and I also found the hotel issue to be you know, there's no visuals, there's no traffic study, there's no parking plan, there's no brand, there's no height or massing drawings. So, you know, abstract zoning language doesn't mobilize people, actual hotel drawings do. So that was my comment about that. I just worry that even though no development permit is before us, that adding hotels and motels is a major land shift. You know, and approving the principle of a hotel without knowing its scale and all of those things I just stated, that it concerns me that people might feel a bit blindsided, but I'm happy to hear that that's what you're proposing. What else is here? Yeah, I just I had the scope creep in area 1. I'm just a little concerned with that. I feel that area 8, if I get this right here, is clearly urban, mixed use and waterfront oriented. So it's easy to justify, and area 1 is a bit more sensitive, if you will. Yeah. So, and then just the parking mentioned too about the parking, that they're, you know, the current requirement 1 stall per room, which they explicitly flag as quite high. That's a concern. But overall, I mean, I feel that this is a good plan. I just need some more information, and I think I need the public to just weigh in a bit. And I don't think that would hold up things too much. So that would be my preference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ward.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I omitted something I think might have been key, depending on what Councillor Jordison was referencing around the public hearing. One of the decisions the committee made was to split this. This came forward as one package. So they split the commercial element, the hotel motel requests, out from the setbacks component. And so the end result, and Mairi can back me up on this, I think, or correct me, is that you cannot have a public hearing on the setbacks piece under Bill 44 or associated legislation. So the public hearing comments or the recommendation in there is solely related to the hotel motel piece. The other misconception that came up in the land use planning meeting was someone was saying, well, you know, if you allow a hotel down in area 8, you're going to obstruct views and things like this. And you know, it was either residential or that. And the reality is that, you know, we're not looking for, you know, something different here. I think in terms of height, what they're asking for is hotel motel to be added to the use case. And it might be beneficial for staff to articulate, well, what else could be there? Because I think the committee didn't understand that, you know, that there was a wide variety of commercial options that could go there. And my view is that a large portion of those are far less attractive to the community than a hotel. When we talk about this as a regional destination, you know, a hotel is something that draws people in with the restaurants and so forth. You know, when you look at downtown Victoria and you see the parking lots on the waterfront, well, visualize, you know, maybe it's just a medical clinic that, you know, has a very specific use case. Is that what we want to see in the jewel of Colwood's waterfront? No, we want to see something that draws people in. So I think we need to be careful to understand this isn't just a hotel or residential. There's a lot of other options already on the table. So why not add one that, quite frankly, is far more appealing to those of us that live here?
Thank you very much. Councillor Grove.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The point about not hearing of for the setbacks, the no hearing aspect and the setback argument, I support it completely, given the arguments we've heard here this evening and support. I won't go on about it. The hotel location, if you know, we're going to build a brand of the seaside destination, we need rooms, we need accommodations for all the tourists that are going to be coming to look and take part in our great city. It seems to me that that's where you would put a hotel, both at the waterfront and along the highway, much like the Holiday Inn Express on Well Road. It seems to me it's an identical kind of setting. So as far as the hearing goes for the hotel, I don't see the need for it. I know that's popular to call for public hearings, but that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? I'm going to support the setback from 6 meters to 5 meters. I think it makes sense to me in my own head. The hotels are everything, you know, it's a destination. And I love that part of it. And really, we have to diversify our economic or tax base right now. And, you know, I keep struggling with this, you know, we keep on turning opportunities like this down. But that's what we need for our tax base right now. We need to diversify. So that's why I'm going to support the hotels in both areas 1 and 8. And, you know, I have no bones about having a public hearing on this because, yeah, it's sort of in that gray area. So better be safe than sorry on this. So I don't have a big issue with that. Anyways, at this point in time, as you are the chair of the pluck, would you like to make recommendations as to the? I think what I've heard is I think I heard the majority of the people were okay with the hotels. I think the majority were okay with the 6 to 5, and I think everyone was okay with the public hearing. Okay, I'm not sure. That's what I heard. That's all. No, I'm talking about council.
Oh,
Yeah. No, yeah. Sure. Oops, sorry. You need to be turned on. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think ultimately the vote will determine majority or minority, but we'll get there momentarily, I hope. So in terms of the motion, I think that we would, the council would support the proposed amendment to add hotels and motels within Area 8 on the CD30 zone map. That council would support the proposed amendment to add hotels and motels within Area 1. And that council would support the amendments to reduce rear setbacks for 1-family and 2-family dwellings from 6 meters to 5 meters. That's the motion I'll make here.
Okay. And can I get a seconder, Councillor Grove?
Sorry, can I just add one part of that motion for council to make a recommendation on the public hearing as well?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, on the motion on 1 and 8 includes the public hearing. So public hearing on 1 and 8, and then supporting the setbacks.
Okay. Marcy, you good?
We do have a slide prepared for this that would demonstrate sort of what the process is, what we're hearing from councils. I mean, it hasn't been voted on yet, but if there was support for both the hotels and the rear yard setbacks. Not my presentation, but yeah, this one. We can scroll down. Can we?
Except 3 is wrong.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
We support.
Yeah, so the staff recommendation actually would be your best one to look at, because all we could do is drop the council hold a public hearing for the land use bylaw amendment. I guess maybe we'd have to make 2 different amendments on that.
Okay.
But
is everybody okay?
we have a slide. Sorry.
You bring up the slide.
Yes, that one. No, keep going. That one there. So this demonstrates the process if council were to support both the amendment to setback and the hotels. We would separate out in two separate bylaws, one for the hotel amendment, and then we'd have bring it back to council for first and second reading, notify, then hold a public hearing, and then take it for third adoption. And then the secondary bylaw would be for the setback amendments, and then we'd notify out as per our policy, and then give it first, second, and possible third readings at a subsequent meeting.
Okay, that's a great summary. Thanks a lot, Richard. So can you go back to the motion that we're voting on again, please? So there's absolutely no confusion. Mr. Mover, you're cool with that? Mr. Seconder, you good with that? Okay. Discussion? Okay. Councillor Day?
Thank you. I won't be able to support the motion on the floor tonight for two reasons. I do support hotels, but I think we should approve those uses with a proposal in front of us, as we've done with every other development up until this point. And I do not support the reduced rear yard setbacks. That's important space for pets and children. And I really believe that this is giving a blank check to doing a proposal in Colwood without us having any say in exactly how that gets configured. Thank you.
Noted. Any other discussion? I am going to call the question. All those in favor of the motion as presented? And those opposed? We'll show that Councillor Day opposes. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to bylaws. Marcy, it's over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we have the official community plan bylaw 1700-2018, amendment number 1714 for North Latoria area plan. This is for third reading and adoption.
Mover and seconder, please. Okay. Councillor Wolfson and Councillor Grove, and discussion. Oh, Councillor Day.
Thank you. So I'm curious in what way the OCP and the rezoning address the floodplain hazards, as none of them have been identified in the mapping for this bylaw. The floodplain mapping did not include the riparian areas and is not consistent with where the creek runs now. The previous zone featured steep slopes. Hillside shoreline was the previous designation, and previous approved developments have not addressed or mitigated soil stabilization or flooding issues, which is currently still occurring. The assessments that come may limit development assumptions and contribute to financial unviability. Local governments, according to the Local Government Act, can refuse consent if hazards can't be safely mitigated, especially with deep or fast water, which may be present at Wishart and Latoria, where the water is deep and the peat soil underneath is even deeper, going as much as 600 feet down, as well as being environmentally valuable to mitigate drought and absorb runoff from Triangle Mountain. Disclosures of risks is increasingly required, and transparent data on risk levels is required according to government sites. No setbacks have been disclosed in terms of the existing neighborhoods that will be impacted and for the restrictive covenants to save us harmless with the Section 219 covenant to be registered on title do not always result in protection due to the need to go to the expense of court action against the breaching party who may have no ability to pay if their assets have been adversely affected along with the city. The road right-of-way that would result may also be impacted, leaving the city to work at great expense to create a road in the area to service this corridor, and previous attempts included years of preloading that were not fully successful. I believe we would be approving an unknown amount of work to achieve an ultimately extremely expensive road without protecting the critical environmental functions of the riparian area from VMP all the way to Metchosin Road at Pelican Drive. This includes impacts to Latoria Creek Park. There are real concerns that are not addressed about sewer capacity. We're only a few years away from paying triple the current rate for treatment. And another requirement for rezoning is to address how this development will fit within our housing targets, which have not been accurately reported until very recently. We are above our targets if you consider all of the approvals given in the last 5 years, and services will be stretched to meet the needs in all areas from policing to recreation and daycare. We also need to ensure that token commercial is not allowed to cloud the real need for commercial development within commercial centers and not just stretched out to support our existing commercial nodes and businesses who could benefit from the co-location of complementary commercial development. Thank you.
Was there a question in there, Councillor Day? I was trying to figure what the question is. Okay, please. Sorry, go ahead.
There we go. I was asking what protections we have and how it's been identified because the current maps do not identify it.
Okay, thank you. Engineer Joshua, do you have a response? Mairi?
I can answer the question and through the chair.
Oh, sorry, I can see you.
No worries. So the floodplain provisions and concerns around development within a floodplain would be addressed through a policy that has been added to the North Latoria area plan under, I think it's the environmental policy. So requiring developers to provide flood control reporting and covenants, registering that on title prior to development proceeding. So this would outline what level the buildings need to be located at in order to avoid any damage to the residential floors above. And so that would be something that would be reviewed as rezoning applications come forward.
So the but an OCP amendment is not supposed to be approved without identifying the hazards. That's according to the Act.
Thank you for the question. I think the OCP amendment is intended to be a high-level policy document, so it sets policies for which council will implement as they review rezoning applications. So it's about guiding developments and ensuring that they're checking all of those boxes, but I don't think we're looking at the specific details for sites with respect to floodplain. I'll maybe ask Mairi to elaborate.
Yeah, thank you. So the North Latoria Local Area Plan is intended to supplement existing policies within the OCP. This area has been designated neighborhood hillside, so it already has enabled development up to 6 stories. So any risks or assessments related to flood hazards would have already been conducted as part of the original OCP when these properties were designated as neighborhood hillside. The intent of the North Latoria area plan is to have specific policy to enable development and to secure those amenities that the city is seeking. This is the OCP amendment. We will have rezoning applications that will come forward, which is an opportunity for council and staff to negotiate conditions to go within the development agreement. And then, of course, they will have to have their development permits. So at that time and at rezoning is when we would be requesting specific plans and studies for each property.
My reading of the OCP requirements are that the hazards still have to be identified, and they are not identified in the OCP mapping. Thank you.
Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A relatively minor thing, and maybe I'm lost on this one, but I was away for the public hearing and had reviewed some of the commentary that was received. And one thing I noted that stood out to me was that two of the developers in the area unrelated to this project, Olympic View and Path, made a distinct point of emphasizing their support for four-laning Latoria from basically, well, all the way from Metchosin Road all the way up to VMP. I didn't quite understand the connection. In fact, I can't find any reference in the North Latoria plan to that. But yet they both use kind of the same verbiage on it and made that key. And in fact, Path emphasized that there was some sort of legal obligation for us to fulfill that. So I've asked that question and haven't got an answer. So I'm looking for staff to clarify two things. One, that approving this plan has no bearing on the transportation master plan and what we choose to do with that road corridor, other than the fact that ultimately eventual developments will be asked to do frontage work and things, but also that we have no legal obligation to build a 4-lane superhighway through Royal Bay, according to the letter from Path. So I'd seek clarity from staff on that.
Yeah, thank you. So to answer the first part of your question, no, the adoption of the North Latoria area plan does not obligate us to widen Latoria Road. In terms of the second part of your question, there's nothing within the area plan that obligates us either. Each property will require to dedicate 30 meters, but with what is within that 30 meters is still to be determined.
Perfect. Thank you, Mairi. Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? Councillor Day is opposed. Okay, we'll move on to 12.2, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Fees and charges bylaw number 1603, 2016, amendment number 6, Schedule B for police services, and this is for adoption.
Mover and seconder, please. Okay, Councillor Olson, Councillor Ward. Discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Next, please.
Thank you. City of Colwood Traffic and Highways bylaw number 1134, 2010. It's amendment number 7 for bylaw 11347-2025, and this is for adoption.
Okay, mover and seconder. Okay, Councillor Jordan, Councillor Ward. Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Next.
We have sewer local area service enlargement amendment bylaws, all going for first, second, and third readings. Colwood main sewer local area service establishment loan authorization 598 2001. It's amendment number 179 for LAS enlargement to 3211 Jacqueline Road. Colwood central sewer local area service establishment and loan authorization bylaw 480. 2001, that's amendment number 24 for LAS enlargement for 3211 Jacqueline Road.
Motion, please. Thank you. So Olson, Councillor Grove. Discussion? Seeing none. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next.
The following sewer local area service enlargement amendment bylaws are all going for adoption. Colwood main sewer local area service establishment and loan authorization bylaw 598 2001, amendment number 180, and that's for LAS enlargement for 3494 Wishart Road, lot 1. Colwood South sewer local area service for establishment and loan authorization bylaw 602, amendment number 34 LAS enlargement for 3494 Wishart Road, lot 1. Colwood main sewer local area service establishment and loan authorization bylaw 598 2001 Amendment 168 LAS Enlargement for 3494 Wishart Road, Lot 2. And last, Colwood South Sewer Local Area Service Establishment and Loan Authorization, Bylaw 602, 2001 Amendment Number 33, LAS Enlargement for 3494 Wishart Road, Lot 2.
Thank you. Just use the same mover and seconder as the last motion. And any discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We will take a 2-minute recess and we're going to go back into in camera. And